Okay, here we go. We're at 79th Engineers in Korea. And I was building that in a machine shop or shop to work on equipment in. And it was getting close to Christmas or when we finished it. Got stoves in there, had a good, warm, dry place to work. And working in the shop, and Sergeant Reno was, I don't know, Christmas. It must have been Christmas because he was under a truck or drove it in there, crawled under it on a creeper, and was drunk and had a can of beer in his hand under there. So we just opened the shop door and pushed the truck out, shut the door. And we was busy on other things there. Sergeant Warrant Officer Marinac come through, and there laid Sergeant Reno on the creeper, in the middle of the shop floor. He was in a tad bit of trouble. I was in hopes he'd get busted because I didn't like him anyway. But anyway, he didn't. But he did get reprimanded pretty hard. But then New Year's, why, I was New Year's Eve, I was in the tent writing letters, and here comes somebody, I think it was a lieutenant, just come into the tent on unexpected. Said, "Are you sober?" I was the only man in there. "Yes, sir, I don't drink." "Get on your ODs and storm pants if you got them. Log handles, we need it's pouring snow," and I knew it was. I'd never seen it snow so big of flakes, so thick. Said, "We're looking for the Chinese to make a big push New Year's. We gotta have them supply lines open." Said, "Report down there, we're putting a mechanic with every grader operator." So I got down there and I seen, I'd worked on Smiley's grader. That's all we called it. I don't know what his name was. I knew his last name on back, but I forgot it by now. Smiley Rowland. That was it, Rowland. And, so I hooked up with Smiley because I knew he didn't drink. And I'd worked on that grader that afternoon and had that pony engine to where man it'd start, and you had to get your little engine started to get your big engine, your big diesel engine to turn it, and then close your compression valves and turn the fuel to it, and then it'd start. So it started. Well, of course, you fueled every vehicle, everything that rolled or moved. Every evening it was full of fuel and full of oil, ready to use if it was necessary that night. So they assigned him a road. I didn't know where it was, but he said he did. So, put my toolbox, a case of ammo, and him and me on that old Cat 12 grader, and we headed north up a certain road. I think we lost the main road because we got onto some narrow road. Then it quit snowing and the clouds moved by. And clear and cold. Oh my gosh, it was cold. And well, Smiley, we don't need it to, the roads aren't drifting shut or nothing. So we need to get this thing turned around. But the roads were so narrow, rice paddies on each side. We finally found a place, and I got off, and I'd watch everything. We finally got turned and back. We finally got it turned around. But we sure didn't want to get it stuck out there. And so then they put that blade as high as he could, as straight as he could, and we went as fast as we could. We made it back in about between 2 and 3 in the morning. And they met us at the motor pool and locked up my tools. And there was another grader or two back. Took us to our tents. And oh my gosh, of course they picked up the case of ammo. If I'd have been smart, they'd have got me 2 or 3 clips, but I wasn't that. I was too cold to think. Got back to the tent and I was just stripped down. Well, I was just stripped down to my shorts and put on. They had a good fire going in the tent. You had diesel, barrel of diesel, and the hose down and under the floor. You had your sections of floor that didn't fit together, just pushed together. And come up to the stove, and then the stove chimney went straight up out. But they kept a fire going for us, and I'd strip down to my shorts and put on fresh long handles and fresh, we had shoe packs, put on fresh ski socks, and then wrap myself in a OD blanket, wool blanket, crawled into that down sleeping bag. I was so cold. Of course, I went right to sleep. In about an hour, I woke up. I was about to suffocate. I was hot. I had to get up, put my blanket out, take my long handles off, back to my shorts. Well, them down sleeping bags didn't let your body get away. You had a canvas bag over that. And it was warm. But we had to report regular duty the next morning. Boy, that was a long day. I don't remember what I worked on, but I worked on different equipment, done different things, and then we got in a trenching machine. No instructions on how to set it up, nothing. And that morning, whenever we got it in the next morning, formation, they said, does anybody think they know how to put that thing together? So I went and looked at it, and I'd worked at the implement house, J&J Implement, assembled combines and plows and spring tooths and drills, whatever they got in. Of course, we had instructions, and then Arnold had done it all. So I looked at that trenching machine and all the parts. I thought, now this is quite a challenge. I believe I'd like to try. So I went and talked to Warrant Officer Marinac. He said, all right, well, if we need that machine, if you would do it. I said, no, sir, I had no instructions, and I've got to trial and error a lot of things. I'll have to have some help. Oh, we'll furnish you all the help and cranes or wreckers, anything to lift whatever you need. But this is a big piece of equipment. We need it on the job. So I said, well, all right, if you're willing to let me try. Oh, we want you to try. And I told him what all I'd done. So by golly, I'd have to get it assembled so far, and then I'd bypass something. Have to tear back down to get it all back lined up. But I got it assembled. And so I had everything working. So I took it around behind that shed we built to road test it. Everything was working. I was digging a trench about 10 feet deep. That's about how far down it goes. Had a ladder deal that done the digging and buckets, and when you come over the top, dumped it on the belt, shot the dirt out to one side. You could move it either way. So, and man, I hit some kind of a water deal. My ditch just filled up with water. So I raised it up, moved it back around, put it on the ready line, and it was ready to go to work. I never heard a word about that. Oh, anyway, then I was working on an auger. It was mounted in the deuce and a half, 2.5 ton truck. And I fixed on the hydraulic on it. And it lay it down, and you can stick it out there or raise that up at any angle and drill. So I got it to where everything was working fine on it. So I just went out in the middle of the motor pool and road tested it, digging, and it locked by under a rock. I guess there was a big rock down there, and everything was granite. It just went, shoved it over a little and caught under the edge of that rock. I couldn't get it back out. I could just picture old Ratliff with pick and shovel and going down to release it. But a bunch of guys seen I was in trouble out there, and here they come. So one guy got in the truck and another to running that. Well, I guess I was running the auger. Front bumper, bunch of men on it, and they picked up what I did with the auger and picked the front of the truck off of the ground, had enough hydraulic power, and then I turned that, engaged that auger, and just opened the throttle wide open. And that come loose, and that front end went down, and them springs, them guys bounced away out there. Didn't nobody get hurt. Got it loose. Nobody said a word of what was happening or why that hole. I was sure lucky 2 times. Oh. Yeah, I've done a lot of different things that way, but I made 14 months, and then I went to Japan on R&R. Oh, I think that was in September. And I had money saved up. I didn't draw much, but I'd been a saving for R&R. I wanted to go to Japan. And Denny Naggingcast, my best buddy then, fine Catholic, didn't drink. And that's what I wanted for a buddy. And he said, you know, some other guys canceled out. They didn't have money. I said, Denny, if we could borrow you the money, would you go? Well, yeah, but I hate to ask. I'll do the asking. So I seen another boy named Collier. I said, Collier, you got any money you could loan Denny for R&R? Well, yeah, he had $30, $40 saved up. Then I seen Sergeant Lineberry that helped me build that shed. I said, Sarge, you got any money you can loan Denny? Why, yeah, I loaned it to Denny. He's dependable. But he had 100 or something. So we had his money. Then he said, as soon as I get back from R&R, I'll ride home and I'll have the money here. The folks has got it, I got it at home. And so he got his money and we went on R&R. We went to Kokura. There was 4 of us from our outfit. All 4 old country farm boys. That was unusual. Oh my, oh, I can't think of them other 2 guys' names right now. But anyway, they were both heavy equipment operators. And we got to Kokura, and we decided they had a hotel set up. Took it from the Japanese, and just for soldiers on R&R. So all 4 of us, we had to ride the train. The train changed trains about halfway. Well, we couldn't speak a word of Japanese. But here we go, 4 GIs, just as rank and dumb as you could be. We got to that place. Some old Japanese guy can speak English. He, I guess, heard us talking. He walked over. He said, soldiers, could I help you? Well, yeah, if you can speak Japanese. Oh, I live here. I'm Japanese. Said we told him what we needed, such and such train. He took us right to it, stayed there with us till we got on board. Went on R&R, got up there. We had about 3 or 4 days. Of course, them other 2 was more interested in drinking. That one especially. He was a corn farmer just east of Omaha, Nebraska, a little ways. And the other was a corn and rice farmer, not rice, corn and beans, close to, well, the southeast Ohio. I forget his big town. I'll come up with either one of them's names now. But we had a big time, Denny and I, Denny Naggingcast, Dennis, but we of course called him Denny. Prince of a guy. We still in touch. But we rent bicycles. You could get a bicycle for 10 yen an hour. That was Japanese money, was yen. And the exchange rate was 360 yen for $1. So 10 yen was 1/36 of $1. or maybe less than 3 cents an hour. So Denny and I rode bicycles and had cameras and take pictures. One evening we was out pedaling. Well, we looked out our hotel window and the Japs bringing in a seine, looked like, civilians. And so we went down there to help them. Well, it wasn't no helping, they knew exactly what they was doing. But they was all just big foot or more openings in their seine. We decided they was fishing for whales or something. Finally, they got it pulled up. They had 2 rowboats, big, you know. They'd let that seine down, and their net was a big sack, like a minnow seine, and that's what they was after, was minnows. Little bitty fish. And the next day, there they was, they'd sold them to people to dry. They dried the fish, get whole. And there was in front of every building was deals with them fish out in the sun. And then he lost control of his bicycle, he went right down one. Oh, I kidded him about that. But anyway, we just had more fun, and we found, we didn't know what it was. It was some kind of a temple, I guess. The Japanese was in there bowing and carrying on. So we thought maybe we better sightsee someplace else. We went other places. But then we run into them other 2 guys, and we had just bought a bunch of oranges in some roadside place. We decided we needed something to eat. We each bought about a half a dozen oranges. We seen them in a bar. We went in there and give them some orange apiece, and they went to throwing them. So we thought we better cut that out. Oh, but then the women would come up and play volleyball with the GIs of an afternoon. Then entice you to come to the bar that night to buy drinks. Well, Denny and I figured out, we went, all 4 of us one night, them women and dancing and taking clothes off. And they was ordering pink ladies, so that's what we ordered. That wouldn't have hardly a bit of alcohol in. No, you don't order that. Oh, yeah. Well, they wanted us to buy more alcohol, get drunk, and rent one of them women for a while. That wasn't our idea. We had our time there. Anyway, we headed back to Kokura to fly back to Korea. And we had each one bought a box of stuff.
Here.
Yeah, cut it off.